Hey everybody, Chatting with Chops here. Okay, so you always see all these molds, these different little candy molds, or wonder what they are, and they're always brightly colored in the stores. Well, today I'm going to show you some fun things that you can use with these. Okay, first things first, I want to just show you everything that we're going to use today. I've just got a plastic bag. I've got two different kinds of candy melts I'm going to use. I've just got a regular, white candy wafers that don't really have a whole lot of flavor. There's a little bit of vanilla flavoring in them. And then I'm going to try mixing in a little bit of these s'mores flavor melts. And then I've got just some cookie cereal that I'm going to try. And then I've got all my wonderful molds. I don't know which ones I'm going to use yet, but we're going to try that out. All right, so let's get to measuring out everything. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is get my measurements for my candy melts. And it says I need 16 ounces. All right, so let's see. This bag is 12. All right, so we've got our scale and we're putting our bowl on here so we can do the 16 ounces. All right, so that's a little bit more than 12 ounces. And then I'm gonna take these s'mores, which smell wonderful. I'm so sorry, I don't have smell-o-vision. And then we're gonna just balance this out. I don't know if you guys can see the scale. It's kind of under the edge of the bowl there. And then I'm gonna just balance it out to be 16 ounces because that's what the recipe is asking for. There we go, a little over 16. All right, so we have that. And then the next thing we need 1 cup of our crushed cookies. Now you can use regular like sandwich cookies. You can pretty much use whatever kind of cookies you like. I'm using these because they're small and I thought they might be really easy to, crunch up. All right, we got about 1 cup there. So we have our melts measured out, and then we have our 1 cup of cereal cookies that we're going to use. And the next thing we need to do is crush these up. So I've got me a plastic bag here. I'm just going to pour these in my plastic bag. I'm not exactly sure how hard they're going to be to crunch up. So I'm going to do it by hand. Let's see. Got the end of a spatula here. You can use a rolling pin. I think we're pretty much pulverized there. Okay, but now that they're squashed down, we need to see if I still have a cup because they're much smaller. It may not be the same amount. They smell good too. Let's see. Yep, we are shy of a cup, so we need to do a little bit more. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is prepare our molds. Now, it says you need to make sure that your molds are nice and clean and dry. Mine are, because I prepped them beforehand. And I have a bunch of different ones to choose from. I'm not going to use my little shallow one because I don't think with the cookie pieces that would go so well. But I've got some nice thick ones I thought about choosing. I have not used these before. Now, this particular recipe says you don't have to grease them. Some recipes will tell you you do. I just go by with whatever particular recipe I'm using for that particular set of ingredients. Maybe you don't need to grease it for this type of ingredients. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to melt our chocolate, and I'm just going to use a microwave to do it. You can put it on a double boiler on the stove, but I find that I'm working in my workspace here, so this is a little bit easier for me. All right, so we're going to put these in the microwave. Don't judge my microwave, please. I use it a lot in this family. And I'm going to put it on 30 seconds. Okay. And now all we're going to do is we're just going to stir these a little bit. Okay. Nope, not a whole lot going on. So we're going to go again for 30 seconds. And you're just going to keep doing it for 30-second increments until you have them nice and melted. All right. Another stir. Oh, we got some melting going on. All right. Another stir. Oh, now we're getting there now. All right. Okay, I think this time I'm only going to put it in for about 15 seconds. Because we're almost there. And I definitely don't want to overcook it. Okay. Okay. All right. Yes, we are there. So the next thing we want to do is we want to mix in our cookie crumbles into our chocolate. I'm just going to pour it all in there, all in one good fell swoop. And then I'm just going to mix this in. Oh my goodness, this looks so yummy already. Just eat this out of the bowl. All right, now we're going to start putting this into our molds. This is where it gets nice and messy. I have several different kinds of tools that I'm going to try using. Again, most of the time when I'm showing these recipes to you, I have not made them before. So these are the molds I'm going to try and use. And basically, I have done this once or twice, not this recipe, but all I'm going to try and do is just kind of scoop some of this into the molds. Again, very, very messy, so be prepared. Just trying to get a good little ample amount in each one of the molds. All right. And then what I need to do is I'm going to lay it flat and I'm going to try and see if I can kind of get them a flat consistency. So just kind of see how I'm just kind of pushing it down in where I just was scooping it on top. Now I'm just flattening it in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the bowl and I'm going to try and scrape off all these edges because all of that is going to be kind of hardened when you put this in the fridge. And then you're not going to have nice defined candy pieces to pull out. It'll make a little bit more sense when it comes out. But see, I'm just trying to get all the nice rounded edges so that when I go to pop these out of the molds, everything's all nice and pretty. Okay, again, just going to come over it one more time. Get any edges off. Scrape down in between. Okay. All right, this is looking very, very messy, as I warned you. Again, just going down in between, because we want to be able to use all of that for more molds. And then what I normally do after this is I just lay them down on a cookie sheet that I'm going to put in the fridge. Okay. Now, if you have to take a hot minute to do this, sometimes you may have to put your chocolate back in the fridge. If this takes a minute or two for you in the beginning when you're learning, just pop it back in the microwave and heat the chocolate back up a little bit because it'll be easier to work with. So we're going to take our cookie sheet. So I'm going to tap these on the counter a little bit. Noise warning. All right, so that should move most of the air bubbles up to the top. And now we're going to put this in the fridge for about an hour and just let them solidify up, and we'll pull them out and see how they taste. I'm probably going to leave them on this big cookie sheet so it can catch all the extra stuff that's probably going to pop off. But let's see. So I've left them in there for about an hour. And they should just come out pretty easily, which looks like they're doing that. Oh, yeah. I do see a few air bubbles, which I kind of expected that to happen. This is a pretty intricate little mold too, and it's doing just fine. Okay, I've got all those out. Let's see how they're looking. See how I was telling you about how if you get it as smooth as you can on the bottom, you don't get all this extra chocolate. But I think that turned out pretty good. I mean, we do have a few that have some air bubbles on them, and that's all you really have to do to just kind of clean them up a little bit, is just knock that extra chocolate off. Okay? All right. Well, that's how you can make vanilla white chocolate with cookie wafers inside of it. And you can use different kinds of cookies if you want to, because again, the white chocolate, you can use like regular, like a white chocolate bar if you wanted to for the chocolate. I just use the vanilla melts. And so you can make them different flavors as you want to. Like, remember, these have a little bit of s'mores wafers in them, so they're going to have a little bit of that flavor in them. But yeah, those turned out fantastic. And one last thing to let y'all know, if you're not planning on giving these to people or using them for an event, what I would recommend is just putting them in a little plastic container, freezer container, and you can freeze these depending on what ingredients you use inside of them. You can freeze these. So that's what I'm planning on doing. I'm going to freeze and save them for the holidays. So like I said, on to the next batch. I wanted to give you one last little tip too. To wash your molds, all you really need to do is knock off all the extra that you can, all the extra chocolate and everything, and then just put them in super hot soapy water for a little bit, and that will melt that chocolate back off and help you clean them up really good. These molds aren't too terribly intricate, so I don't have to worry about the chocolate being caught up in the pieces, but I usually just swish them around in the water and let them sit for a few minutes in some really hot soapy water, and then I'll wipe them off and they'll be just fine.